You have a lot of crap, small kitchen, inadequate storage. I know your pain. In my new kitchen that's going in, I realize I have about half the storage that I used to have. So I'm trying to get really creative in the way that I store things. And I've got some tips, not just take your cabinets to the ceiling kind of tips, but for your mindset, for the way you organize your kitchen, and for the kinds of gadgets and things that are going to help. We want to minimize the clutter. So let's talk about big ideas for small spaces. And these ideas work for big spaces too. You just get to spread out more. I love tall things, literally. You got to take your cabinets to the ceiling. I don't care if you're short, you buy a step ladder. When your kitchen is tight, there's no room for that ugly, empty space. Go all the way up there. You'll save yourself the dusting. Put Christmas dishes, the air fryer you never use, appliances that don't get used often. So when everybody says go to the ceiling with cabinetry, the first complaint I get from clients is I'm short. I can't reach that stuff. Well, do an evaluation of your stuff. Do you need to access those reindeer plates every day? No. So you can put things like that you access once a year, 3 or 4 times a year, up high. Get yourself a good step ladder and climb it when you have to get that stuff, or get somebody to get it down for you. The amount of space that you'll free up in where you work is well worth it. A lot of times my clients will tell me they're too short to use the cabinet above the fridge. And that is the ideal spot to store vertically your platters, your cutting boards, cookie sheets, baking trays. All of that stuff can go up there. 36 inches if you've got a regular sized fridge of vertical storage. And my shortest clients can reach to the bottom corner and pull something down. In addition to making your cabinets go all the way to the ceiling, you want to use all of the vertical space within those cabinets. So if you open your upper cabinets and there's a lot of negative space between the top of your glasses and the bottom of the next shelf, then you can adjust it. Get another shelf from your cabinet maker. Make that tight and fit exactly the height of your stuff. If you keep all of your like-sized items together, you're probably going to increase the amount of shelf space you have within your cabinets. It's only page 1, geez. But don't forget about the other vertical surfaces. So the side of the fridge is wonderful for smaller, less deep items, for a command central where you keep the calendar and notes to go back to the teacher and items for school and for keys and sunglasses, all in a 3-inch cabinet, or a deeper cabinet for pantry items, or a chalkboard for notes to the family. Make use of every inch. And while we're talking about every vertical inch, think about your backsplash. So you could do a magnetic strip and have all your knives there. Do the same thing with your spices and really organize them in pretty containers that are out and showing and out of a drawer, freeing up space. And while we're taking stuff out of the drawer, your utensils. So get a gorgeous container that you can store the utensils that you use often right there on the countertop. You free up all that space in the drawer to get more crap off here and in there. If you don't want to see those little canisters of spices like I don't, put them inside upper doors. Put them inside a pantry door, on a shallow wall in a utility closet. Make use of every inch. Make use of every inch. Do an inventory. See what you really need. See how many of those pans are scratched up and should probably go in the garbage because they're poisoning you. Limit the amount of stuff. Quality over quantity. When space is at a premium, you've got to make sure that what you're keeping has value to you, because it's going to take from you in space, both mentally and physically. If an object is just sitting there taking up space in your kitchen, it's also taking up space in your brain, taking up space in your stress levels. You got to evaluate your stuff. You got to do an inventory. I have a kitchen inventory. I'll link it. But go through and see what you have. See what's worth keeping. I know we get sentimental about things. Take a picture. Give it to somebody else who needs it more than you. Right now it's causing you aggravation if you're living like this. Once you do an inventory, it's really easy to organize your stuff by size, by function. So you have a drawer for lids, a drawer for pots, a drawer for, I don't know, bakeware. You get the idea. You're able to find things. You don't have the mystery junk drawer where everything ends up when somebody else emptied the dishwasher. You know what I'm talking about? This next idea I have may sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. This here is a workstation sink. So it's got all the gadgets. It comes with a cutting board. It comes with a drying rack. It's got a little colander basket here you can see. So they all sit in there. I'm going to do something similar to this in my new kitchen, but I'm going bigger. And here's my reasoning. There's always cups waiting to be put away, stuff drying, fruit that's been rinsed, and dirty dishes sitting in and around the countertops by my sink. I want that to end. So I am going for the biggest sink I can possibly fit. It's 45 inches, a pure joy. I can wash and dry. I can leave stuff in there. It's very deep, 8 or 10 inches deep. That's what you want to get, so that when I look at the sink, I can't see stuff when I'm far away. It can go in there, it can dry, it can rinse, it can soak, and I don't have to look at it first thing when I walk in. The countertops beside my sink will be clear. Mark my words. My thinking is that one big sink taking up a lot of space with all of those gadgets and cutting boards and drying racks and colanders is better than 2 cluttered countertops. When you have a small space, there's nothing worse than cabinet doors and having to try to bend over to see what's underneath there. Drawers are always better than doors. You can see everything below, pull it out. We know that. The guys are working outside on the patio, so you may hear them laughing at me. While we're on the topic of drawers, I'm not a fan of the narrower stuff. So 12, 15 is tight. I would much rather have a wider drawer that I can do temporary dividers, permanent dividers, cutlery trays, knife racks. I can customize to how I want to do it. When you have a ton of little boxes, like a 15-inch pull-out over here on either side of the stove for your spices, that kind of thing, you have lots of doors, you have lots of drawer fronts, you have lots of knobs. When you have a small space and you have lots of stuff, it feels cluttered. In order to make it feel cleaner, more spacious, more breathable, wider drawers with inserts inside, whether they're temporary that you buy on Amazon. I caught a couple of wood ones, cutlery inserts, knife inserts, like this one here, you know, that just goes inside the drawer. I would rather add those to a wider drawer and customize it myself than to lose the amount of space that 2 15-inch pullouts are going to give me, because essentially a 15-inch pullout with the slides and the sides and all of the crap, by the time I'm done, maybe 11 inches on the inside. I'm losing that 2 times versus one wider drawer where I can customize it, put pegboards for dishes, for glassware, for all that kind of stuff. So it simplifies the look when you have less boxes, less knobs, less drawer fronts, less door faces. Now, this isn't something you can go and buy at the store, but if you're thinking about an island and you have a small kitchen, think again. A peninsula is going to give you 60 more linear feet if you do uppers and lowers. So consider the amount of space that you give up for that clearance around an island. The island can block the flow from one appliance to another. That's the biggest problem I see in plans I look at lately, is the sink's way over here, the pantry's way over there, the fridge is over there, and I gotta go around the island. It may not be worth the square footage that you have to give up. A peninsula, a galley, an L-shaped with a rolling island might suit you better. As we think about all the things that we can add to the kitchen to make it work better when it's small, like going to the ceiling, all the gadgets, all the hooks, all the little pull-outs, all those kind of efficient things we're going to add to it, think about what you're going to take away, because you want to simplify what we see so that the space doesn't feel cramped and cluttered. And the best way to do that is to give me enough room. Just because you have a small kitchen doesn't mean you've gotten any smaller. Don't skimp on the clearances. Make sure that you can move through the space easily. There's nothing worse than a tight kitchen and tight clearances. You still got to leave me 42 inches to get past cabinetry, or 4 feet if you got the room. You still got to leave 5 feet behind an island so that people can sit and someone can walk behind it. The same clearances apply. You want to be generous with the negative space because our eye will read that and it will feel bigger. Now we get into the area I love, and that's lighting. When you have a small kitchen and you put a single semi-flush fixture in the middle of it, you have now lit an operating room. You've lit one space. When you have one source of light, that's all I see is one tiny space. If you layer your light and you use different lights in different areas, like a light over the sink for that area, lights over here for task lighting, center light for general lighting, you light particular areas and you make the space feel bigger because it has more functions. We don't just see the operating room. You can even use accent lighting like your under cabinet lighting, or highlighting a coffee bar or the back of shelves. The lighting can make a big difference in delineating different spaces and making it feel like it's got a lot going on. You know what I mean? By putting light in particular places, like over the sink here, I have directed your eye back there to that task area. Where we put light, we put focus. Where we put focus, we put space. Okay, I got a bonus for you. I know you don't want to hear this, but I am your designer, not your friend. You need to go through your crap and probably toss half of what's there if you haven't already gotten rid of your junk. Be ruthless. If you have a small kitchen, be deliberate. Keep only the best pieces, the quality pieces. Toss the rest away. Give it to Marie Kondo and let her. Since I've been out of my house and my stuff has been packed up and in random boxes here and in the shed, I really don't know what I have anymore. But what I do know is what I don't need anymore. So when I unpack those boxes, I'm going to be ruthless with my stuff. If it doesn't serve me in my everyday use, I'm going to put it somewhere else. I'm going to store only the things that I love and that I use. And by doing that, you get to buy better stuff, have less of it. So if it's sitting on the counter, who cares? Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Now, I'm going to assume because you're here that you're not some kind of maximalist and you like living with all of your crap. If you are, you can take my Goodwill bag when you go.